Hello, grade 7 students. This is day 25 of SCP Mathematics 2A lesson series. Today, I'm planning to discuss your chapter 20, that is squares and square root. So this is a new lesson which normally you are covering this in the month of January. Sometimes you might have completed this lesson, but see whether that you have understood everything completely, and then I will tell you an easy steps to get the answers for the questions from squares and square roots. And first, as usual, what you are supposed to do, you take your theory book and put the date and write down the main topic in pink color, squares and square roots. Then you can write the subtopic, squares, right? This is not that the square we are talking about with the shapes. You know that we have a special quadrilateral where all the four sides are equal. So that shape is also square. So this is not that square. So that is a shape, 2D shape we are talking about. And this is squares. We obtain the square of a number when we multiply the number by itself. You multiply a particular number by itself to get the square of a number. So put the date, write down the main topic in pink color, then the subtopic in black color, and you can write the note, the first point about the squares in blue color, which I have marked in blue. We obtain the square of a number when we multiply the number by itself. After copying down that, you want to do an exercise with me, right? For that, you want the exercise in the sense that kind of an activity, but you can write them in your theory book. So this is what you want to do. 1 times 1. You multiply a number by itself. What it is? That is 1 square. The answer is 1. Then I take 2 times 2. The answer is 2 square. It is 4. Then 3 times 3. Answer is 3 squared. So then 9. What I do, I stop sharing the screen now. What you're supposed to do, you want to complete this up to 15. 4 times 4, 5 times 5, 6 times 6. Likewise, you want to get the square value up to 15. I will stop sharing and I'll also do this. So, but you want to continue with me and we'll see that how we can do it together. I'm also writing it on my whiteboard. You also want to write it by yourself. Now I'm done with that. I will share you what I wrote. Let's see whether you also get the same values, right? See what I wrote on my whiteboard, children. So then you can find and we'll double check whether all of our answers are correct. So then 3 times 3, 9, 4 times 4, 16, 5 times 5, 25, 6 times 6, 36, 7 times 7, 49, 8 times 8, 64, 9 times 9, 81, 10 times 10, 100, 11 times 11, 121, 12 times 12, 144, 13 times 13, it is 169, 14 times 14, 196, 15 times 15, 225. Children, why I ask you to write it like this? So in the exam, or else on the exam day, you don't want to multiply and get the values. When you have the question, if it is 13, if you are talking about the square, straight away you should be able to write it as 169. No need to multiply and check whether it is correct or not. So these values you want to keep in your mind. That is why I ask you to do this as an activity. Otherwise, I can easily show you my whiteboard and you can easily copy down. But that doesn't give you anything better because you want to be thorough with these values up to 15. But it is not limited to these values. Then we want to learn something that you just see if it is 20 into 20. What do you have? That is 20 square. What will be the answer, children? It is 400. Now I am going to show you another pattern. If it is 30 into 30, what will happen? It is 30 square. The answer is 900. Then let's say you have 40 into 40, then it is 40 square, that is 1600. Now you just see that this is something very easy, that 2 times 2, 4. And then 0 times 0, then you have the double zeros. 10 times 10, it is 100. 3 times 3, 9. And then 10 times 10, it is 100. 4 times 4, 16, and 10 times 10, 100, right? So then if I write this as 50 times 50, now you don't want to multiply, you straight away write this 5 times 5, 25, and 2 zeros. Let's say I'm talking about 60 square, then you just write that the 60 square, you know the 6 square is 36, and you add zeros. If we are talking about 70 square, how do you get that? You know 70 times 7, 7 times 7, it is 49, and you add 2 zeros, right? So then you write the next one, 80 times 80. So then it gives you 80 square, 8 times 8, 64, and double zeros. So then the 90 times 90, that is 90 square. So that gives you 81 double zeros, right? 9 square is 81. So this is how you get. These are very easy, children, right? So then let's say on the other hand, if you have something like this 200, now you have 200 times 200. So that means you are taking 200 square. How do you get that? 2 times 2, 4. And you have 100 times 100, it is 10,000. Right? So I'll take that is 700 times 700 for an example. So that is 700 square. So then I write it like this, 7 times 7, it is 49. And 100 times 100, it is 10,000. Right? If I take that the 900 into 900, so then it is 900 squared. So then you get 81, 9 times 9, 81, and 100 times 100, it is 10,000. You write it like this. So you don't want to multiply all the zeros and get the answers. Easily you can do this if you are aware about the earlier set of squares, which I ask you to do 1 to 15. And if you are aware about these without doing any multiplication at once, if you can tell this, so then the rest of the things you can do easily. Now I am moving to the decimal part. Let's say if you have something like this, 0.1 times 0.1. So that is 0.1 square. We want to find the value. Can you remember that? What does this mean? 0.1 means 1 over 100. And 0.1 means 1 over 100. So 1 over 10, 1 over 10. It's not 1 over 100. Sorry about it. And 1 times 1, it is 1. 10 times 10, it is 100. What is the answer? It is 0.01. So that means the answer is 0.01. If you multiply 0.1 by itself, it gives me 0.01. Now see what I'm going to do now. If you have 0.2, what will happen, children? Now you know that the 0.2, you have one decimal place, and if you multiply it by itself, there should be two decimal places for the answer, and 2 times 2, it is 4. Therefore, I write 0.2 square, 0.2 square, and here it is 0.04, right? Then 0.3 the same way. I'm taking 0.5 now. 0.5 times 0.5. Again, that as you have one decimal place in the answer, there should be two decimal places now. So then 5 times 5, 25. And you want to keep two decimal places. So then you write it as 0.25. And if you have 0.9, let's say, so you write it 0.9, and this is 0.9 square. So then the 9 times 9, 81. So then you write it like this. Okay, so this is how you get the answers easily. Otherwise, that you don't want to multiply the decimals, you know that if it is the one decimal place value and then the number and you multiply it by itself, definitely there should be two decimal places, and 2 times 2, 4, and I keep it as 0.04. The same way, children, if I take something like this, 0.02 times 0.02. Now what happened? Now I have two decimal places in the question. If it is so that you multiply it by itself, in the answer there should be four decimal places. And 2 times 2, what is the answer? It is 4. So then I am keeping four decimal places like this. Okay, and the same way I take 0.03 into 0.03, that means 0.03 squared. And how do you get this? You want to keep four decimal places. 3 times 3, 9. And how we are going to keep it? 0.0009. But see that what happened to this now. If I take 0.06 and then you multiply it by itself, it gives me the square of 0.06. Okay. Now what happened? 6 times 6, 36. How many decimal places I should keep in the answer? 4 decimal places I should keep. Therefore, I write 0.0036. I'll take that 0.09 multiply by 0.09. So that means 0.09 square, and 9 times 9, 81. And I want to keep four decimal places, 0.0081. This is how you get the square values easily. Now, I hope all of you get a kind of a clear idea. First, you want to have a thorough knowledge on these 15 squares, right? Then without doing any multiplication, so easily you should be able to tell these values. If I ask that what is the square of 15, it is 196. What is the what is the square of 9? It is 81. Square of 6, 36. Square of 15, 225. So likewise, these values should be in your mind. After that, we learn how it works, 20 to 90. Then we learn how you can do with 200, 700, 900. Then we move to the decimal values, and I showed you what is the pattern of getting the square value if you have the decimal value like this. If you have one decimal place, then if you multiply it by itself, then the answer should be with two decimal places. No need to worry about the decimals. If you know that the 2 times 2, 4, and you write 4 with two decimal places. 5 times 5, 25. You write 25 with two decimal places. So then easily you can get the answer. So let's say you have that more than the 2 decimal places, 1 decimal place. In the question, you have 0.02. If you multiply it by itself, then definitely there should be 4 decimal places in the answer. So then to keep 4 decimal places, 2 times 2, 4. And I write 4 with 4 decimal places like this. And 6 times 6, 36. And I want to write 36 with 4 decimal places. It is 0.0036, like that. Okay. So then we'll see that what we have, that they have given you a few questions where you want to get the square value. So then you want to, they have given the let's say the 2000. How we are going to do that? 2000 into 2000, 2 times 2, anyway it is 4. And you want to write 6 zeros because here you have 3 zeros, and when you multiply it by itself, it should be 6 zeros, right? For an example, the question number 13, you have 0.004. You have 3 decimal places. We know in the answer there should be 6 decimal places. 4 times 4, 16, and you write 16 with 6 decimal places. So that is how it works. Right, then we will move to the next thing you have, that you write down this question, right? 32 correct to the first significant figure. This is something you have learned in chapter 1 also, that we will learn how you can write 32 correct and write to the first significant figure. If you have 32 children, first of all you want to underline the first significant figure. That is very important. When you are correcting to a particular significant figure, first you want to underline the significant figure you are talking about. Here I am talking about the first significant figure, therefore I underline the first significant figure, and then I look at the next number. When I look at the next number, if that number is less than 5, I don't add anything. I just write 3 as it is, but 32 is not approximately equal to 3, no? It should be approximately equal to 30. Then if you want to get 32 square, approximately you can get 30 square, then you can write 30 multiplied by 30. The answer is 900. Let's say by any chance you have 35, you mark the first significant figure and you look at the next number. If the next number is 5 or more than 5, we need to add 1. To where we add 1, children? To the underlying number. Now 3 becomes 4 and this becomes 40. Now if you have 35 square, this is approximately equal to 40 square. Then how do you write this? 40 multiplied by 40, and the answer is 4 times 4, 16, and 100. 1600. Let's say you have 37. Again, you underline the first significant figure. Look at the next number. If the next number, next number 5 or more than 5, we need to add 1. To where we need to add 1? To the underlying number. That becomes 4, and this is 40. So then if I want to write 37 square, how I'm going to do that? Approximately this will be equal to 40 square. So then I can write it as 40 times 40. Then my answer will be 1600. Whatever the number they have given, children, no need to worry. You take any number. Let's say for an example, 37.2, right? I will take another example, 37.2. 37.2. So what you are supposed to do, you want to correct this number to the first significant figure. So then you take the underline the first significant figure and look at the next number. There can be many digits after the second significant figure. It is not a problem at all. We just look at only the second significant figure to correct this to the first significant figure. If the second significant figure or the next number, 5 or more than 5, we need to add 1. So then that becomes 40.0. So then if you have 37.2 square, how do you write this? You write this as 40 square. and you write it in the expanded version 40 times 40, and you get the answer 1600, right? We'll take another question randomly. 0. No, we'll take 73, right? Or else we'll take the question number 26. So you just see that I have done, you can see question number 19, 0.27. What is the first significant figure there? Not 0, but 2. Then you look at the next number. The next number is more than 5. We need to add 1. To where we need to add 1? To the underlying number. That becomes 0.3. And when you get 0.3 square, that becomes 0.09. Hope it is clear for all of you, right? That is the next task you should be able to do with the square lesson, right? And then we will move to you want to find the square. Again, that these are the calculator mode thing, using the calculator, which you don't want to worry, because you know this book is from UK, and then students from UK, they can use the calculators in the classrooms, but you are not allowed to use. Therefore, no need to worry about this part. It won't be tested. So then this one, find the square of 213 as accurately as possible using the calculator tables. Again, that is a calculator mode question. Therefore, you don't want to worry. Now you just see that again, that you want to find the area of the square. You know that the square is a 2D shape where all the 4 sides are equal. If you know the one side, you know all the other 3 sides will be taking the same value. And here it is 7.2 times 7.2, right? And then what we do, they have corrected it to the first significant figure. That becomes 7, and 7 times 7, 49. But if you multiply 7 times 7.2 and 7.2, so then this kind of answer that we get, and they have corrected to third significant figure. I'll just show you 7.2, that we just take 72 times 72. We'll see that what they have done. 2 times 2, 4, 14, 14, and how many decimal places I should keep? 2 decimal places. And then 51.84 when I correct to the third significant figure. So that becomes 51.8. It is for 3SF, right? I'm not talking about the correcting the numbers to each and every significant figures, because we have discussed these things in chapter 1. By any chance, if you are struggling with that, please go and watch that video. Otherwise, that it takes our time, right? So this is all about the squares, children. In the next video, I will discuss about the square root. That is the exact opposite thing, right? The square root of a number is the number which, when multiplied by itself, give the original number. For an example that we discuss about the squares, and the inverse math operation is the square root. In the next video, we will discuss about that. Okay, children, we'll keep in touch. Then next video, I will discuss about the square root, and this video, it is all about the squares, and you know that what are the tips and what are the hints you should follow when you have a question related to squares. Okay, children, see you then. Bye.